All right, and we are live.
Is this thing on?
Yes, it
Let me
is.
check this. All right. Welcome everybody to another segment of Baffling Black Spirit with your host, the Baffling Black Spirit. Tonight we have a bunch of interesting things to talk about, many of which constitute to the proceedings of Monday Night Node Wars that was pretty jam-packed, I must say. And also with the Kono Ninja Awakening and a few other things that we will mention tonight. Go ahead and take it away now.
Yo, so we got some things on the list right now. We got the patch notes that are coming up. We got some people we want to go ahead and review who's all in the Discord today. So with us, if you want to introduce yourselves, we're starting with Aki first.
I'm Aki. I'm the one running the stream right now. I made the overlay and stuff, and I'm just the technical guy.
All right, Kanta.
Hey guys, how you doing? My name's Kanta. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Carlitos.
My name is Carlitos. I'm, the true Latino in this Discord. You feel me? What's going on?
How about that diversity?
All right, Carrie.
Hi guys, it's Gary, and I'm just a filthy casual playing the game.
All right,
Hello,
Kashi.
My name is Kayashi. My friends call me Cash. It's the same old story every week. Get used to it.
It's your boy. Now you die up in here. I'm the loudest, most probably out of all these casuals. Passing it along to Panda.
And everybody knows I'm the guy, the black guy with the voice.
Oh my god.
Oh God.
Man.
God.
Fucking Jesus.
But I'm a black guy too with a voice, man.
All right, next up is Turok.
Hi, Mom.
And
Fucking
last
solid.
but not least is Harambe.
It's your boy Harambe, you know, you know. I
Harambe,
see
you're
you
alive?
sausage, Now that main rotation, you're gonna die.
Sausage.
shit.
All right, so we're gonna be reviewing some topics today. I've been getting some feedback and stuff on the Twitter. We appreciate you guys checking us out, being respectful of everything. We really do welcome all of you. First up on the list, we're gonna be discussing today are the events and patch notes. So we're let Cashy take it away on that note.
Okay, so what we wanted to discuss first was some of the stuff that has been introduced into the game. So the first event that we're going to talk about is the Black Spirit Adventure game returns. Now, as some of you know, this game was already in about, I would say, a couple weeks ago, which I think I was surprised. I don't know about everybody else, but I was pretty surprised to see it again. And they've added some things to it that weren't in initially. Some of the items have changed. One of them is called a Lynch family treasure, which if you land on that spot, you'll get like some extra things that you can sell for gold. It's almost like the dagger. They've also introduced a thing called Sacred Statue of Asula, and that is
Casula Farms.
The Asula ala Ablangada.
Asula Albangada. and that sells for
Fucking
three.
perfect.
That sells for 3 million. So there's some things that they've added to it. It's obviously still 3 times a day, and it's each hour. So that stays the same from the last time the game was running. If anybody hasn't actually done it, it's in your menu section, and it should say Black Spirit Adventure. You just click on
You just
that.
press escape to get up to that menu and get in.
All right.
The next event, or through the patch notes, we're going to talk about is the do-it-yourself with Laventia event, which is kind of confusing and a little bit more involved than the rest of the events. So if we can just put up the initial,
I have the
Picture.
you have it up?
yeah, I have it.
Okay.
Wait.
So here we go. It's gonna actually go from December 8th, which is gonna be tonight, right now at 7 p.m. Eastern was the reset. So it's gonna start from today all the way until January 4th's maintenance. And during this event.
Fucking Mickey in the
Let him
chat.
talk. Let him talk.
All right, let him talk.
No, everybody can chime in. Let's we can have a fluid discussion. It's not a
Teacher, I have the dunce cap on. I can't do it. Right. Teacher, you got to take it away. Your voice
Give
is
him
too
a
majestic.
sent him to the
Keep
corner.
going.
Teach him
You're
to
good.
survive. Teach
You're
him to
good.
survive.
Keep going.
So beautiful.
We're like pushing him onto the stage, like nudging him.
Hurry up. We're waiting.
it's all good. All right, so it's like I said, it's going till the 4th of January, and what's going to happen is initially tonight, right now, from 7. Let's say you're logged in right now into the game from 7, and if you're logged in all the way until 8 for 1 hour, you're going to receive a login reward, which is going to be 10 Leventia silver powders, 5 Leventia gold powders, 2 Leventia big diamonds, 2 ancient pearls, and then you're going to get an optional reward of Leventia rings, 20 of them. You're only going to get that one per day. So you log in now, you play for an hour, you get it. If you don't log in now, you wait until later. As long as you play for 1 hour in each day before reset, you're going to get these rewards, the ones I just listed. Also, besides the login reward, you're gonna be able to collect these rewards through 3 different things in the game: by killing mobs, fishing, and gathering. And as of right now, because there's not a lot of information, we know that everything drops. The Leventia big diamonds, the Leventia gold powder, Leventia silver powder, and Leventia rings, they all drop from mobs. There has been no confirmation as of right now that the ancient pearls do. But they are a blue item, so they might have the same rarity as like a witch's earring or a mark of shadows. So it actually could just be super rare. And that could be obviously to control how many people can get the actual loot table. So if we want to start with the first loot table, it's going to be the Leventia silver ring, and that is what's gonna happen is you're gonna put 10 10 Leventia rings and then 10 silver powders together. And how you're gonna do this is you're gonna press escape on your screen using your keyboard, and you want to go down to your inventory, and then under inventory you're gonna see an icon that says produce. You're gonna click on that, and there's gonna be an icon that says simple alchemy. Once you have either your rings, your powders, diamonds, using simple alchemy, you're gonna be able to do the combinations that the guide here that's on the screen right now tells you to do. So if you're using your simple alchemy,
Or you can just push L.
Or push L. So you combine the two. And there's no, go ahead.
Keep going.
So basically what we're gonna for different things, so the silver ring in this case is gonna give you a buff. It's gonna give you attack speed +2, casting speed +2, movement speed +2, all AP +5, and all accuracy +5, which I do believe will actually stack with other potions. So it's a really good buff on its own. Probably one of the stronger buffs in the game. The other buff in the game is Leventia Gold Ring, and that's energy recovery +1, gathering speed +2, movement speed +2, and weight limit +100. And if you have that plus the event item that we're getting through the login rewards daily, I'm not sure if they actually stack, but if they do, you're getting some major bonuses on weight. You're actually going to be able to get +200 weight for a duration of 30 minutes at a time, which is pretty big deal.
Pretty fucking big.
Yeah, it's pretty big. I mean, that's pretty nice. So we have to see if they stack. If they do stack, that's big. Even if they don't stack, to have like you're already going to get 20 you already should have 20 if you've logged in for the past 7 days since the calendar was active. You're already going to get the plus 100. Now you're going to have 20 of those plus whatever you can make Leventia gold rings. You can make, as many as the drops. Like we said, only thing that we don't know drops from the mobs is the pearls. Everything else does. So you can probably create hundreds of Leventia gold rings if you're going to be farming for level 60 or above. The next couple are the boxes, are what people are used to now in this game, where they give you the events give you boxes to where you get RNG chances of getting some really good loot in the game. The first off is Leventia Silver Diamond Ring, and obviously you're going to have to meet the specifications, which is going to include you're going to have to use a silver ring and one big diamond, which big diamonds are obviously dropped from mobs too, and they're a single item. And what you're going to get out of that is a box that could contain a witch's earring, a Bencho's necklace, a Mark of Shadow, a blue coral earring, and a bunch of other stuff. Those are the most important ones, the ones that are valued at the highest. Then you're going to get. Then there's another option for a box. It's called Leventia's Gold Diamond Ring, and that's going to be you're going to have to combine the gold rings. So one requires you to combine a silver ring. The other one requires you to combine a gold ring and also a big diamond. So both of these boxes that have these loots in them require the diamonds. One requires a silver ring, one requires the gold ring. And obviously, you can look back up at the top. And also, there's going to be a link provided. You guys can click on that for our viewers. And this has the same thing, essentially, that the other boxes do. They're just the gear is a little bit different. So you're still going to get your witch's earrings. You're still going to get your Bencho's necklace, your Mark of Shadows, your blue coral earrings. Some things are going to be different. In this case, you're going to have the chance of getting a soil or ogre ring, a soiled ring of Crescent Guardian, and a soiled Sicil's necklace, which could give you the actual ogre ring, Crescent Guardian ring, and Cecile's necklace, which are very good value if you can get them. And then then there's 3 more boxes. So this event is pretty large. I mean, you can pretty much mix and match what you'd want to do. If you want to get some buffs, you can get some buffs in this event. If you want some boxes and you need some witch's earrings, you can do that obviously pretty quick. The other 3 boxes are going to require you to get the pearls. Now, like I said, the pearls are going to be a lot rarer to get. So you might not be able. You might have to pick and choose which one of these boxes you're going to be able to obtain. The first one is Leventia's Splendid Box. And if you're able to make this box, you have a chance of getting a Zarka Sealed Weapon Box, Ogre Ring, Tongue Grad Earring, Basilic's Belt, Tree Spirit Belt, a Blue Whale Molar Earring, and a whole host of other items. Those, obviously, the top 5 or 6 are the most notable. And then the last 2 boxes... Huh?
Sorry, everything else sucks.
Yeah, everything else is you're only really hoping for the top 5 or 6 of those items. Really, that's what you're hoping for. Depending on what you're looking.
More than likely you're gonna get like a black magic crystal or stone or something.
Right.
More than likely.
I've been grinding.
That's a high percentage of it.
Which is why you got to give Cacao credit. They created these other 2 boxes. Now these are the big daddies. Okay, these are the ones you're gonna want to really go for. These are the ones you're gonna want to aim for because they're going to take the RNG part of this game out of the equation.
What?
Yeah, I know. Listen up.
The Papa Elves.
Huh?
Papa Elves.
Yeah,
big ones.
all the above. Leventia Fancy Box is the first one. And this one is going to require a lot. It's going to require 10 gold diamond rings and 10 ancient pearls in order to make it. And it shows underneath that how many of each individual things you're going to need. And you're going to need 100 of those rings, 100 Leventia rings, 50 gold powders, and 10 big diamonds, plus 10 ancient pearls to make it. But if you do, you are guaranteed one of 4 of these items. A Serops, is that how you say it?
Serops.
Seraph.
Yeah, that's right.
Serops necklace.
Syrups.
A syrup
Maple
necklace.
syrup.
Just kidding.
Syrup.
Syrup.
A
It's
syrup
Seraph.
with some
Syrup.
maple syrup in them. It's going to be sticky. It's going to be a sticky necklace.
Oh, very sticky.
A witch's earring, a Mark of Shadow, or a necklace of Schultz the Gladiator, which actually is the best out of all of them. The necklace is pretty popular right now, so hopefully everybody gets that if they get the box. And then
So
the last, huh?
Oh, I was gonna say. So in reality, they're just apologizing for all the Blackstone boxes.
You're guaranteed not to get any Blackstones.
That's just something you can't buy that with real money. I mean, you just can't.
And then the last boss is the cream of the cream. Okay, it's the Flamin' Yan. It's the Laventia Shiny Box. And it's going to feel like it too, because it's going to require a lot of material. And this includes 100 Laventia rings, 100 silver powder, 10 big diamonds, and 40 ancient pearls, which I cannot stress enough. No one has confirmed yet that it drops from mobs. It probably does, but it might be as rare as a witch's earring or a mark of shadow. However,
and I think our theory that it's probably elite mobs, if they drop it, elite mobs are probably
definitely.
Yeah,
I would get.
They're gonna make you work for it. I mean, they're going to make you work.
It's probably rigged anyways for Ring of Crescent Guardian. I mean, I don't trust Cacao after the Red Nose incident.
Yeah, and if you're able to make this box, you're gonna get one of the 4 items, which I'll tell you, any one is good. Ogre ring, Tongue Grad earring, Basilic's belt, or Ring of Crescent Guardian. And this is
that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's yeah.
So if there's a way for this to drop mobs, I would anticipate if anybody finds that mob, and if it is the elite mobs in this game, they're obviously going to be farmed hard on every channel. So it's going to be kind of hard for, it's going to be pretty hard to get in there and do the spots, but it'll be good. I mean, it's good for the game, obviously, but we don't know that. This is all speculation. So all we know for sure is that we're going to get 2 daily if you log in for an hour or more. So
did Cacao know it was actually PvP practice? They were insinuating by that.
Right.
So moving on to the next topic, we got Panda. We got some wars that went on. Sunday was the first day for open war PvP, but really after Sunday, Monday was a really big day. There were 12 guilds that went toe to toe. So we got some firsthand information from some of those guilds that Panda's gonna lead us on right now.
Oh, it's my turn? I thought we were going to talk about your lunch, but okay.
Oh man, it's just my V key.
All right, what's up, everybody? So basically, as you know, Monday night's Node Wars was pretty crazy, especially Ooze Pass. There was like 12 guilds planted on that node. It was absolutely ridiculous. I had the pleasure of going over there myself, although they kept on killing me, to go witness some of the action that took place. And although I was not able to get an interview from all 12 of the guilds that participated, I was able to get a few from probably about 5 or 6 of the guilds that participated in that node war. One of them being, and you guys know him, and you guys have uttered this word a million times, at least at some point in your life, FML, whose GM is none other than Prout himself. And he pretty much stated to me that overall, it was a pretty chaotic node war. They had a lot of fun, even though they were surrounded by the Wolves of War Alliance, quote unquote. They still had a lot of fun, and they were able to take out at least 2 guilds before they actually went down to Man Up. Man Up came in there in the end and took them out, but they were stuck defending majority of the time against 4 other guilds. He also stated that despite knowing that it was going to be a brawl, they still came for the PvP, and that was the most important thing of it all, because they love the PvP, and that's what they're about.
Sounds beautiful. Thank you.
It sounds like a lot of stuff to handle, especially like the first day going on. FML from Edan was one of the big powerhouses to go on. So I mean, a lot had to happen for that to be the case.
You got some really good people matched up against them as well.
Yeah,
man, I would like to have been sitting on a wall somewhere.
Personally, for me, being out there, it was pretty chaotic. There was just death everywhere. There was people flying all over the place, and majority of the time, when the initial node war started, I followed FML, and they flew up a hill. There was just like a wave, a sea of red, just running up the hill. And I thought it was they were going to their base. But when I looked, I saw them attacking Ascendant. I was like, wait a minute, what is going on up here? You know, I thought this was their base. They're just pushing knee deep into Ascendant. And then by the time I went down the hill, because they ended up killing me, because they killed my horse and then chased me down and killed me. And I respawned. I ran back up the hill. They were gone. So I thought that maybe they had an alliance going on with, Ascendants there. So that's probably why they wanted to go check what's going on. But apparently I was wrong. They had to pull back to their base because they were being attacked by 4 other guilds at the time. And they were dead center of all of it.
Spooky. I don't know.
I mean, that
I
sounds.
wouldn't call it spooky. It was, personally, especially if it's your first time going to a node war like that, and since the server merged and you have 12 guilds on one node, I feel like it can get pretty chaotic, especially if you're dead center in all of it.
I mean, it really is, because you can get pincered attacked. I mean, there's a bunch of things going on. Miscommunication can sometimes happen, especially momentum. Momentum's a big thing you got to watch out, especially when you're in the middle. When you're in the middle, if the left-hand side's losing momentum, but right's just about to get up and pile drive you, that's a lot to go ahead and take out. It's more of a defense and offense game. But you got to ask at certain times, which one do you do?
Definitely. And despite them being on the defensive majority of the node wars, they still managed to try and aid their ally Gravity in applying some pressure to Manop's base. Because at the time when all this was happening, Manop was already mounted on the offensive, and they were going in, taking out whoever was in their path. And they were fighting Gravity at the time when FML was stuck on the defense. And they still somehow tried to manage to try and aid their allies in that. But at the same time, the same base that they went to go and try and attack ended up taking them out.
So I mean, that's a lot. That's especially so that gives some good old momentum for maybe Saturday. Who knows? I mean, especially now, maybe a different strategy on where the fort will go, how everything will do. I mean, you never know, because FML is not a guild that you take lightly, especially when it comes to warring. You don't. They stay close together. They got top key players like Terasuki, Jody Irola. They got people who know how to play their class. They're geared. They know what they're doing, and they're going out there and they're giving it their all.
Definitely, for sure. But overall, though, Prout stated that he was pretty happy with how his guild performed out there. It was kind of a rocky situation, but they did the best they could, and they mainly came out there for the PvP. That's what they stated that was really important to it, and they had a lot of fun. As long as you win or lose, as long as you're having fun, I say is always a good thing.
Yeah,
and you learn from your losses.
Yeah,
I do classify that as a win. Anytime your guild has a lot of fun and just a lot of enthusiasm, morale's up, it's always a win.
Look at that. That looks like so much fun.
That's a lot of PvP right there.
The footage up here, I'm not sure if it's from Monday, although it is between
representative. It's representative.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 12 guilds in these guilds. We're talking some of the top tier guilds. They have access of 70 members. Now, obviously, not all showed up, but go ahead. What was that?
It was I mean, node wars like this must be so chaotic. I really do hope they keep up this kind of energy, because I think that'll reel in a lot of players.
Yeah, especially putting that on YouTube or something would really bring in a lot of popularity for BDO, and especially the communication aspect. The community is gonna grow through that. Yeah, I mean, just looking at these videos, I mean, you gotta think not just how crazy it is, but how the communication aspect of these things can come into play, and all the coordination between these guilds is really, really fascinating.
I mean, and FML's got a strong passion for brawling anyways. 12 guilds on Monday, they just can't pass that up. They got to show that a Dan pride. So, I mean, for them to go out there and do what they did and give it their all like that, you can't. I mean, they got a strong core. They got great members. I mean, that's something most guilds can't do in general.
And this revitalizes them. People say, well, it sucks to lose. It does. But losing, and technically, I guess you could consider it not a loss, but losing makes you be able to come back to the core and kind of reconfigure what you were going to do. And now that there's the server merge, and now that they know the competition is rampant, they're going to be spending the whole entire week preparing for their eventual revenge, potentially. So, I mean, this was the prelude, potentially, to the actual war that's going to happen next this coming Saturday, which we're going to get full coverage here for the Sunday podcast that we do at 6 p.m. Eastern.
I mean, think about it. All this stuff hyping up to Saturday. Saturday is going to be a huge, huge brawl. I mean, territories are going to. I mean, I know they mark down the time on all these siege wars, but I mean, it'll be probably close down to the teeth if there's not a huge stomp out. And I mean, I can't imagine with all the PvP going on. I mean, all the servers in general have been very, very close niched on providing their best players. Saturday is going to be a day on the first day also where all of them can just go crazy on each other. Bigger environment, bigger area, bigger nodes, more members, more core. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot to handle.
Definitely.
Sanox asks if we have any predictions on guild that will own region.
That's a good question. So I'm already calling it.
Hold on. Before we get to the predictions, let's go ahead and finish with the other guilds that gave us their interview on their thoughts on how the Node Wars went, because we have some really interesting feedback here from some of these GMs, and I think once we finish reading all of this, you'll be able to get a better assumption of who you feel might come out on top on this.
Yeah.
Oh,
so let's move on to
We'll move on to that, but Disaster's got a really good thing to follow up after Sanox's question. Disaster poses that we had assumed Iconic is one of the strongest guilds and that no one was going to beat them for nodes. So he's got a question that we'll come right back to after you cover those topics.
Definitely.
We're going to be coming back to those, Disaster. You just stay right there.
So the next guild that I had the pleasure of interviewing is a guild that hails all the way from Uno. You may not know them. You may know them if you were on Uno server. They're Ascendants. Who their GM is led by... All right, choking on water. The GM of the
they're that good.
GM
folks.
of that guild
is
none other than
at the same time, guys. Do not talk at the same time.
Ascendants had a little bit of a trouble going into the Node Wars on Monday, due to the fact that it was a weekday, and a lot of people do work on the weekdays. Some people, they might not be home right now. They get ready for vacation, whatever the case is. So they didn't expect much of a turnout for number wise for this particular Node War, but at the same time they weren't expecting so many guilds to show up at that one node, especially the higher end PvP guilds. Although they did feel victory was possible, they still wasn't able to attain it because of the lack of numbers. And also, throughout the entire Node Wars, Ascendants felt as if they should have focused LOTD more instead of FML, who was pretty much a dead center, and they were pretty much far east. So if you were in that position, and you were told to go for somebody that's in the smack dab in the middle of the hurricane, and you're all the way east of it, but the closest target is literally due southeast of you, who would you go for in that sense? Would you go for the person that's all the way in the center, or would you go for this person that's southeast of you? So you kind of have to look at it and weigh the pros and cons. What would you do if you were in his position? And they also felt like if they were able to do that, they probably would have been able to mount a better offense.
I mean, that's a lot also right too. I mean, to say that they didn't expect that much of a fight, I mean, you kind of can't go into a server merge with PvP servers such as Edan and Uno with that type of mindset a little bit. You always got to be expecting the worst in my that's just my perspective on it.
Hey, don't forget about the Orwins.
Don't forget I don't forget about the Orwins, and I give them props too, but I mean, if we're going to be honest, from what we heard, majority of the times it's Uno and Edan, and to say that you go into one of the first Node Wars going on and that's happening right there, that you don't think that many people are coming, it's going to be that's a rough like estimate, right?
I think that also shows the different levels of PvP coming into the merge, with the Unitarians potentially being used to their competitors and kind of knowing what to expect. Where in Edan, it was more of a fluid situation where it was always changing, which I think benefits the Edan, at least initially, for the server merge. And I think that shows, or will show when we go through the list here of guilds that we're going to talk about.
All right, just hold that thought real quick. Someone said Iconic lost to T2 last night to Vision and Cho Nation.
Against the sentence. All right, we can cover that after disasters in Sonic's realm. Panda can keep the train going if you want.
I got a topic on that. What Kashi said, like on Eden, like you have to fight PvP every day. So like most of the people in Eden was really like PvP ready, as in like strategy and wise and shit. Where Uno really didn't have no really competition, so everybody just let the big guilds do their thing, and they really didn't see their strength for what they were, you know, like how Eden is, you know, they you get crushed in and you learn from that. No one really went against the top guilds in Uno, so they never got that part, and them being cocky how there is, you know, that's their downfall, you know.
Which kind of lends to why Aricia was saying that, you know, they went in there expecting one result and they got another. It's, you know, unfortunately it's the product of, you know, the servers the way they were. And now that the merge has happened and these Unitarian guilds get to, you know, figure out what exactly the PvP scene looks like, they can hopefully prepare and be hopefully better because of it.
It's definitely, and it's interesting that you guys said that, because Aricia also stated here himself that he felt as if Man-Up should have been dealt with first instead of allowing him to run rampant. But because of the fact that Man-Up was not dealt with in the beginning, where there was no heavy pressure applied to their guild or to their fort, instead it allowed them to gain the momentum, thus pushing them towards the victory. Because Man-Up they were just all over the place. They were all over. They were just steamrolling in. When the Node Wars started, support was gone within 10 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes, support was gone, and then they just went straight down, and they went down and down and down and down and down until they just took out whoever else was there. Granted, FML did take out two other nodes, two other forts that were placed on that node, but at the same time, Man-Up just went all over the place.
It was kind of Gravity's fault, so building on so close to a safe zone, though.
Tell me more about that.
The Panda got that.
Sounds like a therapist.
It's funny that you said that about the node placement for Gravity, because when I spoke to Mental Tormented, he said the same exact thing, that the biggest disappointment to him personally was the node placement. The fort placement on the node. That was one of the biggest letdowns for him. And in addition to that, they weren't able to finish off LOTD in time before Man-Up came in with the assault. And he knew going into the fight with Man-Up that the fact that they did not finish off LOTD would come back and haunt them. And because of the really questionable fort placement, it allowed Man-Up to camp the safe zone.
Smart play.
Yeah,
play.
really
I mean,
smart.
when it comes down to winning, you got to do what you got to do. Some things might be seen by some as honorable, but they have what it takes to do what it takes to win.
I agree.
Before we lose this message, I just want to throw it out. Disaster Celestrata said, "Hey, last podcast right before Node Wars started, you assumed Iconic is the strongest guild and no one's going to beat them for nodes. How do you feel now that they got run over by Man-Up?"
Oh.
Did we say that last podcast?
Yes, that was mentioned. That was that question was mentioned earlier, but we will definitely get to that
Yeah,
question.
we're coming back to that.
Alrighty, just make it.
Sit the fuck. I'm just kidding.
I don't remember it. What, like, so what was the question again? He said.
Which one, the Iconic one, or what Panda said? That we in the last podcast we had on stream, we had assumed or had foreplayed that Iconic was going to be one of the guilds that probably wouldn't get beat out for nodes.
That's because like beat out would mean like lose.
Yeah, they
wouldn't
wouldn't be
get a
able to
node.
lose. Yeah.
That was mostly because the Unitarians would be saying that and other different things. Like I don't know, they get people so hyped, and then you know at the end of the day, Eden won.
All right, and I feel that. You know what I feel right here? I feel hype. So with this hype, I want to come back to it right after Panic is going. I mean, he's on a roll right now. We got a lot of information from these guild leaders and some feedback to give also. I mean, because this is what the people want to hear. They want to hear how these guilds are doing, breakdown for breakdown, what's going on in these Node Wars, Siege Wars, and then I mean, I'm excited for Saturday. So Panda, take it away again, if you could.
Mental also stated that he felt as if Man Up alone would not have been able to kill their base because of how Gravity's comp is set up. Gravity, if you fought against Gravity, if you've seen them fight, they have a very heavy range comp, and they have a lot of wizards. And because of the fact they had a lot of wizards, it allowed them to heal and protect through a lot of Man Up's damage. And if you guys have not seen Man Up's newly formed force, they have a lot of Sorks and they have a lot of warriors. So they're very reliant on the Sork and Wizard sorry, not Sork and Wizard, but the Sork and Warrior setup to initiate a lot of their pushes. But because of the fact Gravity was in their base and they had the heavy wizards set up, it did really enable them to fend off Man Up to a point. Although Man Up was able to use the safe zone to retreat back and regroup and make an offensive push from that point, they were still able to keep Man Up at bay from fully pushed into the tower up until LOTD got their shit together and came up the rear and stormed right into the fort, which allowed Man Up to push in from the other side and thus sandwiching Gravity.
Did anybody else catch that, or am I just
Yeah.
Like, came up the rear.
It came up the rear.
Anyways.
You got to do it that way, guys. You just got to come up the rear.
Of course you would.
Mental Tormentor does acknowledge the fact that he does blame the loss for them not being able to finish off LOTD in time, but he was, however, surprised at how long they lasted throughout the entire fight. And he also did have a few words to say towards Man Up. He wanted to let them know that he gives them credit upon the solid pickup of those relevant members who are incredibly strong and will make an impact.
That's good.
Also,
is that a direct quote?
That is a direct quote from Mental Tormented himself. He also goes on to further say, Man Up was never able to 1v1 them on Eden.
Ooh.
In the new world, with the strong, relevant members they picked up, I'm very confident in our guild's ability to handle our own. And he also had a few words for one guild in particular, and we all know this guild. They seem to be flying low under the radar. Nobody knows what's up with them, what they're doing, what their plans are. But everybody talks about them. Barcode. And his words to Barcode were simply as this: I just hope they finally come out of the shadows.
Yeah,
Wow.
they've been really sneaking around, Barcode has, to be honest with you.
Do you believe this will happen?
I mean, it's really tough to say. I haven't seen much from them besides from them GVGing, retracting, so forth. I didn't look to see what node they held in particular, whatever it was a tier 2 or tier 3, but they've been really flying low. We haven't heard much of them. We've heard much from Iconic. We've heard much from Man Up, FML, Gravity, all the big name guilds out there that we all know and that we all foresaw that would make an impact when the server mergers happen. But for some reason, Barcode, they have been just flying under the radar.
Maybe they're taking a different approach than Ascendants, and they're actually going to gauge everyone's strengths and weaknesses, because coming into this, they might not have known Edan's guilds to the point where they could judge where they need to be as far as the guild. So they may just be sitting back for a week, and maybe this Saturday they're going to actually show their strength.
Well, I want to see this guild. I don't know what guild. I know what this guild is. Yo.
I do agree with that.
But yeah, I kind of, I really hope I see some Barcode though, because I remember most of the Eden guys when merge, that was the biggest name you almost heard was Barcode. Barcode. Everybody in channel chat, man up in Barcode. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You know, don't take Barcode so lightly. People on Edan were even say that to me, and I'm like, wow, this shit's gonna be crazy. But since server merge has happened, Barcode, from what I've been hearing, being around, is they're a little bit low on the talk list. It's more iconic.
Like,
it's more these other guilds.
Vision been showing up some good, plays, against Barco and stuff. Have you seen the first? Was it the first week? The first week?
Yeah, the first day. The first day, they
Vision
went toe to toe with them.
And what I heard is that Vision won that. Is that true?
Well, I honestly have no idea if Vision won that. I've heard they won it, but I have no confirmation for myself to say, Vision won this. I didn't speak to either guild about that particular GVG, so I don't know.
I mean, I don't doubt they. I mean, they are strong individuals. I know a couple of people in Vision who are like really strong berserkers, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm just hoping to see a lot more from these guilds that were just like, they almost were created as titans before we ever got to see anything, and now that there's stuff available, it's proving to be quite the opposite so far, and I don't know what's gonna happen. Iconic's one of the only guilds I've really heard the most about, and I just would like to see some more of the Barcode that I heard about.
Like, I don't know. Have you seen the map of Black Desert Online, and you see all the nodes has been won? Most of that's Eden and Uno. I haven't seen that many Orwin's guilds that's been taking up T2s or T3s, but I don't know. That's just me,
I really do think everyone is kind of just, I would say they're just gauging everybody's strengths and weaknesses. And other than a few, I mean, there's a few. Obviously, Man Up is very dominant. We haven't got to their expose yet, but we're going to do that right now. Obviously, Iconic. I mean, there's a few that are really just going out there, but a lot of the other guilds, we're not going to really know. And hopefully we're going to be able to shed some light on it through personal interviews, game footage, you're going to be able to just present the information as best we can. But I think a lot of them are just skirting around the edges, and I think we'll know more about it in a week or two. So we can talk about Man Up now at this point, I think, because that was that last guild we did the.
Isn't Man Up like one half is like straight Man Up, the originals, and then one half is Irrelevant, and one half is Mango Bay?
That's a lot of halves.
That's a lot of halves. I think that's more than a half.
That's a mix of a lot of things, man.
That's a lot of things there.
See, this isn't math class, so we're okay here, guys. We're okay.
I mean, though, regardless if they're a mix of a lot of things, they're still we can't deny the fact that they are a strong guild.
Yeah,
definitely.
I completely agree.
They know what to do. They know what to do. You can't stop them when they put themselves together.
And for those of you who don't know, that guild has been the center of a lot of controversy. The good, the bad, whether you hate them or love them, they're always talked about on the server. You hear about them on the forums, you'll hear about them on streams, you'll see them talking in chat sometimes. They're all over the place. Just like Gravity, just like FML, you hear a lot about them. And for those of you who don't know, the guild is led by I'm going to quote this, the self-proclaimed God King himself, Lucari.
I'm gonna put on that. Wait,
I don't know.
Something
I don't know.
The viewers.
All right, hold on.
I don't know.
Rambe?
But that is what he calls himself, the self-proclaimed God King.
Of course. But from one of the viewers said Black had 30 people in Man Up and left after merges. I didn't know that.
I haven't heard much from Baka in a while.
I haven't heard.
Yeah.
I mean, they're one of the guilds that were strong for trolling and being really memey in the beginning of Edan, and you're right. Like, just they sort of fell off the block too.
They still have their guild recruitment in separate chat and channel chat every now and then though.
Oh, they find a way to get around the bans, don't they?
Yeah, they're like they're also in the shadows, kind of like Barcode.
Will they come back out? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe they're planning their major big return.
Who
Expose.
knows?
All right, so more about Man Up. Tell me more about Man Up, Panda.
Well, Makari stated in here the Ooze Pass Node War was a crazy fight, but lots of fun. He said that once the Node Wars initially began, the first closest guild to them was support. That was the closest guild to them. So they immediately pursued support and took them out, and then moved on to the next biggest threat, which was that of gravity. So for a guild like that to consider gravity as the biggest threat out there and that node, it means it's saying a lot. It's saying a lot that gravity is a strong guild, and if left unchecked, they are a force to there will be a force to reckon with.
Weigh you down.
Yeah, I heard a lot of gravity got a lot of new members and the sprint getting stronger too.
Oh yeah, definitely. But the one thing that puzzled them a little bit was, and it's something that we spoke about previously, was the fort placement that gravity had. It was very questionable, he said. And because the reason why he said that is that they don't know why they would put their base at risk by placing it next to a safe zone like that. Because it allowed Man Up to keep a constant pressure on them by being able to use the safe zone to go back in and back out and regroup and coordinate an offensive push towards their base.
Which says something about Man Up, to be honest. It says they will use everything to their advantage in order to win a siege or a node war.
Right, and some people may say, well, that's dishonorable. That's stupid. You got to play the fucking game. The safe zone's there. They're playing the fucking game. They're playing it a lot better than these other guilds, and that's why they're winning.
I agree.
And most people may say, well, this podcast seems to be a lot Man Up focused, or Man Up, riding the wave on them, just praising them. We're not here to do that. We're just here to point out facts. And if it just so happens that the facts just somehow keep relating to Man Up and the way they're doing things, then that says a lot right there. We're just here to be fair and provide you guys with what we know. That's just what I got to say on that matter.
Hashtag blame now.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
And we have to admit here too that these are the people that responded to us. If you want to hear about your guilds and stuff, share your information with us. We'd be more than happy to talk about everybody.
And to the new people who are here, this is the Baffling Black Spirit. We're doing a Wednesday short mini episode. We discussed the Levincia event, and we're discussing Siege Wars and all that. So we're glad you guys can come by. If you want, you can follow us on Twitter for more update. Follow our YouTube, and we'll provide links. Keep on moving on, Panda.
Of course, if you want to tune into further episodes, you can hit that follow button, and you'll get a notification every time we stream.
Yeah, you trying to hook up with them? You're like,
yeah, you know it.
All right, keep going, Panda.
Well, the thing is too, when you guys say that using anything that's not at your advantage to win, that's very understandable, and it's how this game should be played. And I mean, a lot of people don't play the game like that. Some people think it's dishonorable to camp safe zone. Some people think it's honorable to pot in PvP, V out, whatever the case is. But you're using the game mechanics, all the game features and mechanics that are at your disposal. And for one example, is people getting villa buffs. A lot of guilds do not get villa buffs, and I don't know why people do not get villa buffs. It is overpowered. It only costs you 5.9 mil. It's a 1 week duration that you can go in and out of the villa. You can even pick up the dailies, even though they nerfed them quite a bit. So you're not making as much in return, but you can use it to your advantage. You have a choice of a 1 hour buff, 2 hour buff, or 3 hour buff, whatever, or 1 and 3 hour buff. And for each buff is 300k. So you need 9 100k in gold ingots and 5 of the the 100g bars, which is equate to. Sorry, what'd you say?
The 10 gold bars.
Oh, 10 gold bars. Sorry, the 10 gold bar, not 100. 10 gold bar. You need 5 of those, and that is your entrance fee to get inside the villa. And when you go in, you're going to pick those buff up. So all you have to do is just look at each villain and see what buffs they offer, and what you think will be the most beneficial for you during that Node Wars. So people can say that they have really stacked buff bars or fat buff bar, whatever the case is. But a lot of other guilds are doing the same exact thing. Now the safe zone thing, I can say that's kind of questionable to a degree, but at the same time, if you go ahead and place your base next to a safe zone, and the other guild uses it, I don't see why you shouldn't use it either. If you need to do a regroup, if you need to come out of your fort or whatever the case is and do a regroup, use it too. If they're using it, use it as well. Don't sit there and not use it and then complain about it later on, because you know what? At the end of the day, it's your fault. And that's what I liked about what Mental Tormented did. He admitted to the bad base placement and them not being able to finish off LOTD in time. And a lot of people cannot do what he did. It really does take a lot to be able to own up to your mistakes and to learn from it.
Yeah, a lot of people would have just cried that there was some kind of nefarious, tactics to win the game, but he took all the responsibility, which I have to give him credit. You have to give him credit for that. Thanks.
Definitely.
It just comes down to it. Next time, are they going to put their fort down near a safe zone and utilize it also like the enemy, or are they just going to avoid it altogether? I mean, that's what you got to ask also. What's the smarter play?
If they do, and if it's the reverse situation, go ahead, Gary. What was it?
They do have to run back themselves. It's true. I mean, you know what I mean? They're gonna have to run one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, it's either that or have a outpost ready.
Yeah, and if you don't have an outpost, especially for that particular node war, Pass, when you die, you spawn right at the I don't want to say southwest side of Kepler, outside the main entrance to when you get in. So if you're coming from the giant area, if you come from Giant, you're gonna walk right next to the respawn point. So if you die on top of the hill, if you die over in the lake or in the mines, you're going to respawn right there, just like everybody else. So why not? So why not, when your forces are low? Why sitting? If their forces are low, your forces are low, and you're trying to recover, but you're being pushed from all angles, why not try to use the safe zone to recover so you can make a push and wipe whoever's in your base at that point?
Yeah,
go ahead.
And that's just some of the information you get here at Baffling Black Spirits. We give you inside information into things that might not be talked about otherwise. So if you're a guild member now, or you're the guild leader of a small guild, maybe you're just starting out, these are things that you can use. You got to worry about safe zones. Now that the server merge has happened, there are 12-man wars that are happening in the game itself. So it's just this is like anybody that has any information that wants to present it to Baffling Black Spirits for our podcast, just hit us up. We have a Gmail account. You can get us through Twitter. There's multiple ways to talk to us.
Karanda spawn. For anybody listening to the stream, Karanda spawn. You heard it here first, folks. Probably not, but so do we still have more man up things, or are we gonna move on to the iconic?
We still have a few more things,
Okay.
because Lucari had something very specific he wanted to say, or wanted to point something to get across to iconic. But all in all, throughout the fight for FML, he said that he felt as if FML was not all there, or not responsive rather, throughout the fight. Said when they got into the base, they kind of just stormed through the base and took it down. So I don't know if by that point FML had threw in a towel, or what the deal was. Whatever happened, I couldn't get in because some kids from Man Up killed me. They slaughtered me and my horse again, my horse and I again. So I had to respawn, and by the time I got over there, the base was dead. I don't know what happened at that point. But in reference to the merger, the king of, this is what I call him. I call him the king of KFC and cornbread. That's what I call him. He's pleased with the merger from the relevant guys, and he's really happy with them. They're very strong crew, well-rounded, well set, and he does want to welcome them again to the guild.
Okay, that's very merciful.
You could say that. he also stated that they did have a few minor hiccups, just like any other guild, but they'll work on fixing that throughout future battles. And he did have something to say to all the guilds out there as well.
Listen up, guilds.
And this was, I thought it was rather funny. He said, "Stop dodging PvP and making excuses. Expect man up in his strongest form."
Wow.
Strong words.
These are strong.
Strong
These are
words.
Very
like,
strong words.
It's like playing the last piece to Exodia. You take it lightly.
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, but let's be honest, pay by play, what's been happening. They say something. Usually, most of the time, they try. They do what they gotta do.
I mean, essentially, this is like a game of chess, and right now, Man Up is beating their chest, saying that we have you in check. So, do you think this weekend is going to be checkmate for a lot of these guilds that are participating in this week's Siege War, or will Man Up have to go back on the defensive? That's the question.
That is a question, and that would be a question. So with that, I mean, a lot's going on leading toward Saturday. Saturday, we got proof, we got information here. It's getting heated, it's getting hyped. So, what is there anything more? Or are we moving on to the con?
Oh, we have something here because this leads back to the quote-unquote Sunday Node Wars at Summer Outpost with, and I hope I have the correct node too as well, with Iconic and Man Up and Nephilim. Lucari wanted Iconic to know this specific bit, that they had no idea Nephilim would be at the Node Wars on Sunday. So when they found out, they quickly asked the Nephilim to stay out of the fight so they can hold a 1v1 against Iconic. And yes, I will butcher some words a lot, please excuse me. But that's what Lucari wanted Iconic to know. Now, on the other hand, I had the pleasure of talking to Iconic at the very last moment last night, and I was able to talk to the GM and one of their officers, and I got a piece of their take on what transpired on Sunday. Now, as we all know, Iconic is a guild from Orwin, and they've been uncontested for months. So ever since Siege Wars came out and Node Wars, they've been uncontested. So they don't know what it's like to lose a battle to another guild, or to have another guild stand up to them. So for them, having seen this is foreign news to them. This is something that's this is uncharted territory. So with them losing that war, I was a little bit surprised because of how much people talked about them being the big bad Iconic. The uncontested guild never lost a fight. No guild stood up to them. And it was surprising to me to see Man Up take them down the way they did. Now, one of the officers in the guild informed me that they believe Man Up paid Nephilim to plant on the node to buy them time, which and thus put them on the defensive the entire battle. Now, I don't know if that's legit information or not, but that's what was said. So you guys can take it how you...
With a grain of salt.
With a grain of salt. Definitely with a grain of salt. But that's the story that is being loomed around. And also, I also heard on the side that Man Up 2v1 Iconic for the node. So there's a lot of things being said at the same time from the Iconic members and people that are just spreading information around and so forth.
And
so you don't know Go ahead.
The good news is, in the coming weeks, we're going to actually give you video. We're going to actually cover this from each individual perspective. So we're going to provide you with the most unbiased way possible in order to give everyone an idea of how GVG is going as the server merge gets a little bit older So yeah, just expect that.
And as AJ just stated right now in our stream, is so Iconic beating Nephilim in the first 5 minutes mean that we 2v1? It's kind of a good point right there. If that's the case and that's the scenario, what is that? I mean, you can't really say 2v1. You could say, hey, there were 2 guilds there, we had to go against them, but are they just maybe diverting from the fact that they lost to man up, and so now they got to figure out how are they going to come back for Saturday?
Very true.
So what else has
only time will tell on that. You know, we still. Only time will tell. Saturday's approaching really quick. Things are very heated between a lot of these guilds, so we'll have to see how all of this plays out. And whether or not that's true, it was still something interesting to watch. You know, it was a very interesting battle to watch, nonetheless. But I wouldn't call if they took out Nephilim in the first 5 minutes. I wouldn't call it a 2v1. That's a 1v1, especially since the fact that Lucari said he requested that Tyrael and his guild stay out of the fight so they can 1v1 Iconic for the node.
Mm-hmm.
So it really, you really don't know which way to go with it, because at the same time, even though you're hearing it from the horse's mouth from themselves, you still don't know what to believe. So you kind of just have to take everything with a grain of salt and watch how all this plays out. But overall, Variety stated that the guild had a lot of fun, and it was something that they needed coming into the new world, as a guild that's never been contested, and it was the wake-up call they needed. So at the same time, they're acknowledging their loss, and they're saying that it was a good thing for them to lose, because they've never been uncontested before, so they don't know what it's like to lose. They don't know what it's like to learn from failure. So I guess it is a good opportunity for them to learn from this particular failure. Although I don't know if you could call it a failure, more so just than a loss. So I don't know what you guys think about that statement.
Well, I think it leads into the question that was asked by Disaster was, we assumed there was an assumption that Iconic was the strongest guild maybe coming into this. And now that we've actually seen the results and we've seen how Man Up, regardless of the outcome, 2v1, not 2v1, safe zone, not safe zone, more men, not enough men. The end result is Man Up dominated. That's what really happened. And so, whatever the assumptions were, the facts have now been given, and Man Up seems, as far as the early results, and these are early results, so anything can change, and Man Up may have started a revolution that they don't even know exists, and these guilds might band together. And with Man Up having statements like stop dodging PvP and making excuses, expect Man Up in its strongest form. Listen, I wouldn't doubt that would motivate any guild just to get better and say, okay, Man Up, you want to face us at our best? Here we go.
That's true. That's a possibility. That's a realistic possibility.
But I know I would have hog-tied my pink, put my big boy pants on, and say, all right, Man Up, let's go. You guys want to see the guilds in the strongest form? I'm ready. Let's go. Darn tootin'.
But they have the power to back it up and go toe to toe, So it's gonna be pretty. It's gonna be ugly in a sense, but it's gonna be beautiful to see how crazy everything's gonna turn out. So
at the end of the day, people gotta double team on Man Up just because they have basically Man Up's full of alphas in there with 2 different guilds merged into one, and that's pretty. It could get hectic though too. So I don't know, but it might crumble from within.
I'm sure anybody could do that. Anybody could do that, but at the same time, that's just not how it goes all the time. Mergers happen. Take in new people. Can't hate them for trying to keep their guild alive and doing what they got to do. I probably don't think so.
I don't think so. And I know the recruitment these last 5 days or 4 days since Saturday has been heavy on the general chat. So all these guilds are shaking it up. They're recruiting members that were guildless in the last 3 or 4 days. So you're gonna see some of these guilds that didn't have the members actually have them because they were all spread on each different servers or whatever drama happened in the servers that they were whether they were Unitarians or Edenites or whatever the case was. they might have had drama and they might have been guildless, but after the servers merged, they might have picked a new home. And these people, these members might be level 59s. They may be gear score of 480 and above. We're gonna see some really different levels of skill, I believe, coming into Saturday. We're gonna see some different things happen.
And also, chiming in for a second, like, yeah, we don't know how, or we don't think it would have played out the same had Man Up not done what they've had to do to help keep their guild alive and all this other stuff. But also, what if Iconic would have had some actual competition on their server? Would they be as strong as they are now? Those are two questions you could pose. Is what happens had Iconic maybe originally started on Edan's server? Would they be as strong as they are now? Would the battle have even played out the way? I mean, it's all ifs and what happens. But if you're gonna accuse Man Up of something, I mean, the same's got to be applicable to the guild that's going against them.
Right, definitely.
You have to believe that they would have been stronger growing up on a PvP server.
Yeah.
They would have been. I mean, naturally, they would have been strong.
One of our viewers said, Zithian, if I said your name correctly, he said that's a silly thing to say. You could say that Man Up would have no issue with the original Iconic if they never absorbed any of the other guilds on Orwin.
That's a good point. That is a good point. Give that man a medal right there. Give him a medal. But moving to that is also saying, like, it's just what happens if maybe the game started on an all regular, just a mega server. So there's somebody saying right now Iconic absorbed 20 guilds on Orwin.
Yes.
So
there's one important thing too that we have to remember. From what I was told, not by anybody in Iconic, but from what I was told, just hearing around and listening to things that are being said, that Iconic was there in the transition of becoming a PvP heavy guild. They mostly stuck to PvE in a sense. So I don't know if there's any legitimacy to anything that was said about that. But if that is in fact true, then it could explain as to why they had some trouble with letting Man Up do uphill pushes that shouldn't have been done, and keeping him on the defense, and just little things like that and so forth that transpired throughout that node war. So they still have a lot to learn. So to me, it seems like they are new to the world of PvP, and they don't have much experience as of yet when it comes to fighting strong guilds that are as strong, if not stronger, than they are.
Right, and Into Alive brings up a good point right now. There's no doubt that Iconic is strong. They've had a server, they've had almost no competition, but they're a little lacking in their competition, the experience. So now they're bumping heads with these other guilds, and it's affecting them a little. They're going to have to apply themselves just a little bit harder this coming Saturday if they plan on taking any region, because the way that things are rolling out, especially with what we talked about the tournament that happened last Saturday, tensions are rising. Guilds are going to be doing what they got to do. They're going to be filling up their slots, merging, recruiting, hardcore, grinding, enhancing. A bunch of stuff's happening this week behind the lines that most people aren't aware of. They're just thinking, oh, it's the first siege. This is a big siege. This is going to be a huge siege. So with that being said, it just depends on what guild is going to do what it takes within a week after measuring out everybody else's abilities.
Definitely. And even throughout that fight afterwards, after everything was said and done, Iconic acknowledged that Man Up pulled something unexpected, and there was nothing that could be done about it. But they fought it out to the bitter end, and the leadership is very proud of their members and how they performed. Now, they go further on to say this, and you could kind of draw it back to what Man Up said previously about stop dodging PvP and expect Man Up in its strongest form. Verity states that they are still very confident since they're getting used to, and I quote, the shit the Eden pulls, and they will be ready come siege. And these last words that he stated, it's very hot and it's very deep. Our members are fucking strong and absolutely top tier. All I can say is we will see you Saturday and we will be fucking ready.
And on that note, I think it's a good time to end this segment so that our crew can go out and get the information that you guys want for this Saturday's siege.
Well, let's not divert from the questions that were asked earlier. I know that we said we were going to have a short show, but let's not ignore our streamers. Those are big words. Those are big words. And so what Disaster said earlier is, since we had predicted Iconic to almost not be beat out, and that proved to be the opposite, what are our thoughts now? My thoughts are, I'm kind of not surprised. I will be one to say that I agree that they were a big guild that everybody was talking about and it was going to be crazy. Same thing was said for Barcode, and now look what's happening. So, I mean, Man Up's always proven to be the test of time when it comes to top tier guilds pushing and pushing and pushing.
Very true. And I'm not a type of person to gamble because I don't like to gamble. I always tend to end up losing. So I just like to watch and see how things play out. And that's the type of guy I am. I like to see how things play out and to see if they go according to what people assumed or what people thought they knew. And it's always, sometimes you're a little bit surprised, sometimes you're not surprised at all. And there are times that something just comes out of nowhere and boom, it just hits you like a ton of brake. You're like, oh, what was that? But it will be very interesting to see how all this plays out, because a lot of these words that were said to some of these guilds and towards everybody, you can take them pretty deep. Some people take them pretty deep. Some people take it personally. Some guilds are like, whatever, we don't give a shit. But at the same time, all these guilds are ready and rearing to go coming this Saturday.
It's gonna be. I mean, what do you? Oh, I mean, the hype's crazy. So what do you other guys think about the Iconic stuff going on? With the Man Up and all this stuff, there's a lot of pressure going on right now.
I think Iconic's got their hands full, but it sounds like he's got a strong team. It's just, I mean, you put things out there like that, it puts a little bit of a target on your ass.
I mean, strong words like that grab attention.
There's
really
an awful
easy.
lot of strong gentlemen in this fight. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't mean to be like that, but there's a lot of strong players out here, and that's pretty much just tossing out a gauntlet.
Definitely, and
good luck to them, is all I can say. I don't really know any of them, to be honest with you, but it sounds like fun to watch.
It will definitely be fun to watch.
So another question that one of our streamers or one of our viewers had earlier was, what regions are you predicting these other guilds to have? And since we've been on the Iconic Man Up thing, I'm going to go ahead and assume and predict Man Up's taken maybe Madaya. And we've seen in Adan for a long time that Gravity is going to go for, I think it's Valencia. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that might be where they're going for. The two trickiest ones are always Serendia and Balanos, especially with Vision being one of the guilds that took over at the very end of Edan's last days and winning. They're a guild that could come out of the woodworks too. We haven't mentioned them a lot today, but they're a guild you got to watch out for too.
Definitely.
I don't know if you guys have checked chat lately, but Disaster Celestrada's had some pretty solid comments going on in chat. I can read them for you if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Iconic would never have gone server 1 anyway. Freelancer is known for making a guild on and off server and quitting before competition happens. It's the same reason why a ton of them are moving to Arcade 3.0. And then says later, Iconic's guild guild leader, Phoebe, already found playing Arcade 3.0 server with their original guild team, Legacy. Good luck, Iconic. Do you think he's already moving on, and without a leader, a guild's kind of...
The drive goes down. The drive goes down.
Can't be, gotta have a drive.
Well, with that being said, though, also is like if why give up the fight? Now I don't know if this is true, but if this is true or some way, shape, or form, why give up the fight so early? If you've got a guild that's willing to go out there and fight with you, and you are claiming you can put out strong words like this and say we're be fucking ready and all this, hopefully if Saturday doesn't go the way they don't plan and they wind up losing, which I wish them good luck. I wish everybody good luck. I don't want them quitting and moving to a whole nother game. You spend hours on here. You make bonds, you meet people, you do what you got to do, and this is the place where these people come to fight. And if you give up on your guild like that just because you lack the competition in your server, you can't blame them. And hopefully their guild doesn't feel...
You think they should be finding a different driver then? He should save his guild then and find a good driver for him.
I mean, yeah, you should. If this is the case.
I mean, this is speculation. We know this is speculation. Yeah. I mean, we're not trying to say any of this is true, not true. But speculating, if it was my business, I would find a new driver for him.
Iconic's got the name. Iconic's got the name. We've heard about them. We've heard about all these other guilds. If you have the name and you feel like your leadership's a little bit shaky, save it. Names can do many, many things. I mean, remember when GK was big originally on Adan? Just when you uttered the name and people walked around, it was like, oh fuck, they got that spot. Move on by, So if you got the name, you got the people together, and you feel like your leadership's shaky, I feel like the guild should do what they have to do to put somebody in the lead. Otherwise, you all die off, and you got to merge into guilds that you might not have a say, be liked in, and you might just have to keep moving. This is, like I said, all speculation and everything. But if these are scenarios, don't take them lightly. If you find your GM playing another game or something like that, more than what he's originally been doing, find the drive of the guild going down. Don't if you love your guild members, don't jump ship. Fix it. Boats are meant to be fixed so they can keep on going.
Yeah.
That's that knowledge.
You better put that respect on that knowledge.
Sit back. You wanna know how I got all these regions? Knowledge. That's what's good. So anybody else have any? So does any other streamers or stream? I don't know why. Any other viewers got any other questions they want to ask, or points they would like to point out before we cut off for the night and go dive and figure out what we got to do so that we can help provide some information on Sunday, because Sunday is going to be a very, very siege node heavy segment that we do. It's going to be, we'll be talking about the Ninja Awakening also. We're talking about maybe bringing on some guest ninjas, guest konos, talking about how they like their class, the skills, the damage. Did ninjas and kunos finally get those buffs that they were required? Because I've heard a lot of the ninjas, they nerfed us and we don't got what we need, and great, we can blink in combat. How you can't even win staring contests no more. So what is Cacao helping you guys with what you need? Oh, God bless. So somebody. So what other things would you guys? Okay, so we got one guy here saying, I suspect Iconic doesn't get a castle this Saturday. They will undergo so major changes, willingly or unwillingly. Changes
I don't
are
think
not.
It'll be that soon. I don't think it'll be that soon. I don't think Iconic, the actual leadership, I don't think it'll change. Within 1 week. That's my opinion.
You know something, when we the predictions for the possible territories that some of these big guilds might go for, and we I know we've been talking a lot about Man Up and Iconic, but we can't leave out the other big guilds. And I know you mentioned Vision. We can't leave out the Ascendant ally. I guess with Wolves of War, if I pronounce it correctly, Black Road, Cho Nation, Mooncakes, Hikimori. You also have FML out there as well, and Gravity, and we know Gravity and Barcode as well. We know that Barcode, when they were on their server, they went for Valencia territory. And if I'm wrong, somebody in chat can correct me that knows a little bit more on that. And also, Gravity likes Valencia. And we all know Man Up is a home favorite for Medalla. But will they change around their strategy this time around and go for a different territory just to throw everybody for a loop?
Oh,
Or
that,
will they
I mean,
continue with the same
nice.
strat that they've been doing?
I think they're gonna try to like get information, figure out where Iconic might be. I mean, Man Up doesn't usually, in my experience watching them, allow people to just make crude comments like expect us, we're fucking coming, or you guys had a 2v1. They will do what they got to do to prove wrong. So maybe they might try to figure out where Iconic's placing down and settle it once and for all. First seed happening of a merger, you know?
Definitely. Well, I'll tell you one thing. The fight that I would like to see more than anything else is Gravity versus Barcode. Because that seems like something that's going to be really interesting. And it will show whether or not is Barcode all there? Are they the silent guild that's waiting in the shadows to pounce? Or will they just fade out with this merger?
We got hazed one saying all big guilds to build on one territory. So what do you think about that? If all guilds were, hypothetically speaking, to build on one territory, we're talking about Vision, Show Nation, you know, all these other Mooncake and FML and Barcode and all them. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna who's gonna win?
The one that has the biggest alliances. In that case, I do believe it's the one who's.
I mean, first off, they're gonna be getting a lot of merc guilds to come.
Small guilds have a big play sometimes in the Siege Wars.
Personally, I felt like if they were all to drop on all the big guilds in their alliance to drop on one, I feel like it would just be a stalemate. To be honest with you, yeah, it would be nice to see a brawl between some of the biggest guilds and whoever tags along behind them. But would we really be getting the worth out of it? Seeing them all just collide with each other and fight, and you don't know who's this and who's with who. I would rather see more of a small scale, maybe 2v2, even a 1v1 for that territory between these big guilds and whoever they're allied with. Granted, we're not going to see that fairness in this game, in the state of game, in the game state, but something along the lines would be really nice. A brawl sounds good in words, but when you actually look at it on the battlefield, it tends to get chaotic.
So here's a question: why don't the guilds have a contest between themselves to see the top 5 players, and those 5 players have a tournament for nodes and stuff?
That would be like a leisure. Actually,
yeah.
If
Blade Book Quest, didn't Blade Book Quest have this just recently?
No, this was something different because he's saying
similar.
He's saying get their top 5 players and have them battle, and whoever wins.
That be the winner for the region. Yeah, the region of the node. That, I mean, and as beautiful as that may sound, and it just doesn't play out like that.
You know what? Actually, I think they have done that before, where they 1v1 for nodes. You know, they grab their best players. I'm not sure who it was, but I'm pretty sure that's happened before.
Yes, that has happened.
Chat. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that has happened before with many guilds. I know for one guild, 2 guilds in particular did this. It was Waifu Hunter with Gravity, where it was B9 versus Skateboardy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys see any trolling during these GVGs, or is the community pretty straight about them?
The community's pretty good about them usually.
I mean, yeah, the BDO
really
community. So with BDO community being good on that part, it's just like back to what Blazin asked. It can't be that way sometimes. You know, these guilds got to do what they got to do to win the territory. As beautiful as it would be, all the smack talking that's going down, they want to show off each individual member. If you put the top player and all that, then you're gonna have people in the background just being like, oh well, this buffs and class nerf and blah 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 blah. They just gotta hash it out one battle.
Definitely, I think a 1v1 battle versus a lot of these guilds with the, I wouldn't say bitter rivalry, but the rivalry between them and the smack talk would be really good to see who comes out on top. Because as stated by Iconic, they thought they could win this with friendship and diplomacy.
Now with Eden.
Welcome to
But
BDO.
this is BDO we're talking about. You can have friendship and diplomacy outside of a war, if you want to put it to you that way. But when it comes to wartime, the kid gloves are off, the friendship stop for however long those wars commenced, and it's if I see you, you're dead. You know. But
It's
that's
like
not
a game
always
of
necessarily
Monopoly.
true. Yeah, pretty much. If you want
It's
to put
a
it that
big
way.
game of Monopoly. Let's just play it. You'll work together. You'll get the pieces that you want. But when it's just two people on the board, it's gonna be crazy.
Wait, so are you guys saying some people like didn't honor their during the Node Wars and like got crushed or something?
Was that your mic cut out for a second?
So are you saying some guilds are not honoring their alliances with other guilds and are just going for a free for all?
No. Usually what happens, so there's been situations where certain guilds have had alliances to take a particular territory or node, and then they would pick, once they cleared everybody else off the node, they would have the best players from each of their guild do a 1v1. And whoever wins gets the node or territory. Yes.
So any other information that we got? Any other things? So go ahead and wrap it up.
I think really that pretty much covers it. Besides from this week's Siege Wars that's coming up, which will probably be pretty heated. No, I can't think of anything else. What about you, Aki?
All right, guys. What I'd like to say is thank you guys for viewing this stream, and please do not hesitate to leave any questions you got.
Oh, here he goes again. He's been doing this since the beginning. I just can't.
Hey man, I just had to muster up the courage to start.
I'm not the right guy right now for this. You gotta back up.
No.
You're trying me.
Are you smelling the moose? I can't do it. But no, and I mean,
it took me a while to muster up the courage.
Oh my God!
If Carlitos was here, and he would say, "I Karanda." That's all I'm saying. But seriously, guys. We appreciate all the positive feedback. We appreciate you guys actually caring about the community. We want to keep BDO alive, and the negative feedback. We'll take it all. We're hungry. We just started out. We appreciate everybody sharing with us. So if you like what you hear, go ahead and send it to your buddies. Follow if you want. We got a Twitter, we got a YouTube, we got a SoundCloud. We're gonna try our hardest to keep a schedule going every Sunday, and then something on Wednesdays if content's good enough. So support the BDO community, tell your friends, send it to your friends, listen to it while you grind or put it to your guild. We appreciate everything, and everybody here sincerely wants to say thank you for watching.
You can either do that now or later.
Shut up! I can't hear you. I can't hear you right now. I can't hear you.
You guys have a nice night.
Hey man.
Thank you guys for tuning in once again. Take care, everybody, and catch you guys next time. Baffling Black Spirit out.
We love you all.